Welcome one and welcome all to the greatest show of them all. It is the NFC East Mixtape volume. Who cares? You can watch this show live on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel or the Bleeding Green Nation YouTube channel. You actually have multiple options on each of those places. If you're more, if my Vanna White could demonstrate here, of a horizontal person, you can watch it in that particular manner. Or if you are more of a vertical person, you can watch it in that manner, dependent on device, dependent on your cup of tea. What we do here is discuss the NFC East, which is just the best news ever today. Today is, in fact, November 25th, 2025. I am RJ Ochoa from Blog on the Boys. He is Brandon Gowton from Bleeding Green Nation. BLG, happy Tuesday.
Not so happy Tuesday. I'm sick, as you might be able to hear. I'm really just wanting to focus on the holidays, Thanksgiving coming up. My girlfriend's birthday is on Friday. Rachel, shout out to Rachel. Really would just love to focus on all of that. Instead, here I am after the Philadelphia Eagles blow a 21-0 lead to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about it.
Well, first of all, a happy early birthday to Rachel, and I hope that the holiday goes well. I hope the birthday goes well. My son's birthday was Monday, so happy belated birthday to him. It's a fun week, and health, wealth, and happiness to the Gowtons, to Rachel and her family. I love and care for you all.
All right.
But you you buried the lead here. The Eagles blew a 21-0 lead against the team that they devote an entire week towards, against the team that they have this weird little brother insecure type energy towards, despite the fact that they have become the NFL's gold standard of our current moment. It was the most embarrassing I've ever seen the Eagles look, and there are a lot of moments to pick and choose from. They lost. They blew this 21-0 lead on the day that Dak Prescott, their father, became the Dallas Cowboys all-time passing leader. And it all happened while the Eagles were wearing their precious Kelly green jerseys. Yeah. I can't consume all of this. It is appropriate that it's Thanksgiving because it's that time of year where you have too much food, God willing, in your fridge and you just can't eat it all. It was so delicious, the downfall of all of the Eagles. What a time to be alive, quite frankly. What a momentous occasion to be alive. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Gowton who chime in on YouTube. My favorite Eagles fans who say, hi, RJ and Brandon. Happy Thanksgiving to you, RJ, and happy birthday to your son. Thank you very much, Mr. G. See you Thursday, Brandon and Rachel.
I like how he's addressing Rachel as if she's here too.
Well, I mean,
she's not.
She's a part of you, though.
Fair.
Also, Joe notes he remembers me doing a Thanksgiving postgame from the car after my son was born. My son was born, obviously, 4 years ago yesterday, and that particular day, fell the night before Thanksgiving. So obviously the Cowboys played. So it was an interesting time to say the least. Eagles Girl 52, one of our favorites, Brandon, says that game was an insult to the Kelly green jerseys. Beautiful, beautiful words. 1TY says now Kelly green is cursed. Well, we have to start, I think, even though the Cowboys won this game, with the Eagles side of the equation because, well, they do lead the NFC East, a matter that feels a little bit hollow, I would imagine, this week, because everything does when you lose a game like that. Of their final 7 possessions, not counting the end of first half one, they crossed midfield twice, gained more than 18 yards only twice. Saquon Barkley fumbled away one of those possessions, and they also costed themselves another possession with a fumble on a punt return that has become teach tape for high schools across America. I really am just levitating, if that isn't obvious.
I think the biggest thing that frustrates me is that they lost the game. As obvious that sounds, because I'm not like, okay, the Eagles are still in a really good spot to win the NFC East. It doesn't guarantee they will because they've, blown an opportunity to clinch it as soon as next week now. They could still even get the 1 seed for all I know. I don't think this loss means like they can't win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's true. I do think, and again, I'm not happy they lost. That's much to be obvious. But I do feel a little vindicated from the standpoint of some of the things that we were talking about and how it's like, oh, but they're 8-2, they're 8-2, so you can't even criticize anything. You can't look at all these signs that are like, well, they've kind of played with fire. Maybe they're going to get burned at some point. And guess what? They finally did. And I think the biggest problem is the head coach. The head coach does not maximize the talent on this team. He does not play to win. He plays merely not to lose, and it burned him. And he should feel stupid about that, because we talked about that end of half possession, you excluding that one. That's a chance where the Eagles could have tried to at least get a field goal, and maybe it wouldn't have worked, but they don't even try. That's just the hubris with Nick Sirianni operates with, is just so frustrating, and I can't get behind it at all. Everyone could be like, oh, but he just wins. He just wins. I don't think he just wins. I think the talent that they have is so good. I think Howie Roseman is the best general manager in the NFL. I think Vic Fangio is maybe the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. I think Nick Sirianni is a Howie and Vic Fangio merchant who is really just succeeding on the backs of those people in a big way. And I think with a better head coach, they could be even better than they are, which sounds crazy because all they've done is win. But I think he is an anchor around this organization's neck, and he's dragging them down. He is not making them better. He does not maximize the talent like good head coaches do. He minimizes the talent by having them play conservative and having them play safe. And people can say, oh, it's the penalties. It wasn't the offense that, it wasn't like they stopped trying. Obviously, they weren't like trying to just punt, but they were trying to operate in such a way. This has been a guiding philosophy for them. It's like, just don't turn the ball over. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if we don't get a first down. Just don't turn the ball over. These 3 and outs, which they lead the league in, by the way, are essentially turnovers when you can't even move the ball down the field. And it's pathetic. You look up the stats here. The Eagles offense currently ranks 25th in success rate. This is the most expensive offense in the NFL, as I come on here and say every single week. They're producing a positive play on offense at the same rate as the New York Football Jets. This is the lowest success rate an Eagles offense has had through week 12 in the last 20 years. Like, are you kidding me? How can you look at that and be like, well, it's the players who are the problem? Most expensive offense in the NFL. We know these players are good. How did they build that 21-point lead? They looked great. A.J. Brown was crushing the Cowboys secondary. They just forgot how to play all of a sudden? No, they're really good. The head coach is not doing what he needs to do. And again, they play in all these one-score games this year. Again, they win, so it doesn't matter how they play. It does matter how they play, because eventually in these one-score games, Xavier Gibson is going to fumble or something, right, and then that's going to cost you in a big way, and you're going to lose on a last-second field goal. They shouldn't. It never should have been that close of a game. And by the way, I know I'm going long here. Like Andrew Nkuba, the Eagles rookie starting safety, he fractures his ankle. That injury happens at the end of the game because the Eagles failed to put the Cowboys away and step on their throat, because you had to play your starters still late in the game when this should have been a blowout. When you go up 21 on the road like that, it should have been a blowout. This is not like a back and forth game. The Eagles blew this. Credit all the credit in the world to the Cowboys. They took advantage of the Eagles the Eagles refusing to win the game and refusing to put it away, and it's just so frustrating.
A lot of comments to hit here because it's that kind of day. So Michael is coping, but he said, call it coping. But if this is a wake-up call the way the Bucs game was last year, then I'll take it. I'm certain that's an easy place to kind of gravitate towards.
What was the Giants game this year? What was the Broncos game?
That's true. So I loved this one from David. It says, not enough bro arm locks from Sirianni. He does. Are you
familiar with that referring to? He does that thing with Kevin Petullo. Okay, yeah.
So this analogy doesn't quite work because it doesn't literally work, but he does carry some born on third base, thinks he hit a triple energy. Like, to your point about having Howie, having Vic Fangio, having different stuff. Like he does seem to take at least outward public credit for the successes of other things. But I have maintained many times that I think he deserves a lot of credit. I think he's willing to take some risks. There's the sound clip of him during the Super Bowl last year where he's coaxing Kellen Moore right into calling.
That's not a risk at that point, though. You're like,
no, that's my exact point. So, but to set the stage, I don't remember the score.
Yeah, he's fake aggressive is the way to put it.
But he's a fraud. He's a front runner. Like that's been his MO his entire career. So again, let's approximate here. They were up like 20 points at that moment in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and he tells Kellen Moore on the headset, like, call the big play to Devontae. if they hit it, they win, and they do hit it, obviously won. And the logic he's using is understood and logical. But to your point, it's like, is it really aggressive if you're up 20 points or if it was 18 points, whatever it was at that moment in time? Like he's a big front runner, and that's pretty exemplified by his entire career here. I saw you retweeted a lot of stuff, but about how this game was a hit on the people who have just hoisted up Philly's record and whatnot. I know that there's a lot of comparisons to draw to 2023. I think that that's representative. Like 23, 24, and 25 are the same to me from a Nick Sirianni disposition of just getting to a point in the game where the Eagles can run the clock out. It just happened to work for them in 2024. They deserve credit for that. Like, again, not to take away from that at all, but it's just a matter of how can the Eagles reach a point in the game where they can be so safe, they can be so risk averse, and they can just run it out with Saquon or take knees or the tush push in and of itself is a microcosm of the extremely conservative, anti-aggressive mindset. And it makes sense that an incredible jump ball receiver, an incredibly physical receiver like A.J. Brown would not thrive in that type of ecosystem, because to put the ball in his airspace requires you to not be aggressive. Requires you to actually be aggressive and to avoid being conservative. So yeah, this seemed like a matter of, okay, Philly's up 21-0. Let's just run this ball a million different ways and hope that we can bleed the clock out at this point in time. Like it's the final drive of a game. And again, they've been able to do that very successfully for a long time now, but you can't start that process midway through the second quarter.
Exactly what I was going to say. Like, that's okay to have that mindset, at some point in the fourth quarter. You have that mindset coming out of halftime. Like that's, and they've done that multiple times this year. They did it in the first Buccaneers game as well. Like they had an awesome first half, and it's like, okay, let's just run this out. And that's part of, like, people were like, I've seen people say, well, actually, Nick Sirianni wasn't playing conservative. I mean, again, I disagree with that from the standpoint of he didn't even try to score at the end of the first half. At one point, he played for a 56-yard field goal attempt, which Jake Elliott missed. But, like, he didn't play for the first down. He played for just a very long field goal attempt. That's conservative to me. Not all these drives, I'm not sure. I forget if it was literally all of them. A lot of the drives in the second half, they're running the ball with Saquon Barkley on first down. That clearly wasn't working in this game. They couldn't, and pretty much all season, they have not been able to run the ball well. What's that?
Shout out Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, regardless of who they played, though. I mean, They just clearly just haven't been able to run the ball. Yeah, the Cowboys were making it even harder for them, for sure. And yet they were having success with the passing game. So, I don't know, maybe come out throwing on first down instead. But no, you have to let's just try to run the ball here and run the clock out. So, just total lack of feel for what was happening in the game. And again, I credit the Cowboys too, because they took advantage of the opportunities they got. But I mean, there's just no good reason, I think, with better coaching that the Eagles, don't win that game.
I think you should. I'm not saying you're not doing this fully or totally, but I think you should credit the Cowboys entirely. I agree with Johnny Boy RN. Now, I'm not taking away from the Eagles. I wrote this in my article at Bleeding Green.
Yeah, this comment is just simply not true.
No, okay. So the comment is that the 21-point lead was built on self-inflicted wounds. I don't agree with that entirely.
How did the Eagles score in their opening drive?
Okay, so I had and maintained that I had zero issue with the Cowboys going for it on the fourth down to start the game on their possession.
I thought that was the right call for them too.
There was a lot of discourse around this, and the fact that Philadelphia scored a touchdown makes it look like, see, I told you that was really dumb to do this, blah, 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 whatever. But that's the type of risk you have to take. And the Cowboys were willing to be that team, which is the antithesis of who Nick Sirianni is.
Yeah, they tried to win the game.
Right. He's a loser. Now, this is an opinion that I think we all seem to share, but one that I imagine our very good friend Rob Stats Carrera shares as well.
What does this have to do with anything?
Stats is here.
I'm always happy to see Stats. This has nothing to do with anything.
He sent me a text after this game. I'll leave it up to him if he wants to reveal what was in that. But it just kind of led to Stats deciding, because I invited him to join the mixtape here. I mentioned the Gold Standard. Everybody check out the Gold Standard Network for the latest and greatest news relative.
This is such a shoehorn appearance. Again, Stats. I love you, Stats, but
he's appropriately dressed, even though he's skipping Thanksgiving with his Christmas-themed shirt. Stats, you are beautiful, and you once objectively disparaged A.J. Brown, so maybe you were masquerading as Nick Sirianni at that point in time.
I just want to say how nice it is to root for a team that has a coach that makes it easier for his team to win as opposed to harder. And no greater example of that was last night on Monday Night Football. Brock Purdy is throwing interceptions left, right, and center. So what does Kyle Shanahan do? He says, we're not letting you throw it in the middle of the field anymore. Your average depth of target is going to be 3.4 yards, and we're going to run the hell out of the ball. That is a coach seeing what is happening in a game and modifying his original plan to win the game. And I feel like Nick Sirianni sometimes doesn't ever do that. He makes it harder for the Eagles to win, BLG.
Oh, well, I don't know how the 49ers won last night because Brock Purdy turned the ball over. And that's all that matters, apparently. You just can't turn the ball over, and then you automatically win the game. It's just that simple. So shocking to me that the 49ers were even able to win.
Stats, do you believe that the Eagles are frauds? And if so, if you had to power rank the fraudulence of them, who's the top three? Who are your top three biggest frauds on the Philadelphia Eagles?
They're not frauds because they have so many good players and they have so many good coaches. It's just that Nick Sirianni is not one of them, but they just more so than any team I can remember, and especially any team that has won at the rate at which they have won. They completely sabotage themselves. Like, if you're asking me right now, as someone that roots for and covers the 49ers, would I rather play the Rams or the Eagles in the playoffs? I'd rather play the Eagles. Not because I think the 49ers are better than the Eagles, but because they may just beat themselves. I've never seen a team that does this with this much talent.
If I may interject to this point, there is a clearly deep-seated insecurity within the Eagles to a matter that has propelled their greatness. But that being said, to Stats' point, that's why I went on Kay Adams' show a few years ago and upset a lot of Eagles fans because actually the whole reason I'm friends with her is because of Stats. So that's Stats actually grand flexing. But that being said, I said on her show at the time that I was completely and totally petrified of the 49ers, but that I did not fear the Eagles from a Cowboys standpoint. And I had all these Eagles fans in my mentions like, why? Oh, you're just projecting. Like, no, I don't fear the Eagles at all because the Eagles get in their head relative to when they play the Cowboys. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have never beaten Dak Prescott at AT&T Stadium. And I think it's because they make such a big deal about it's the Cowboys and it's Dallas week and we're going to wear our Kelly Green jerseys. And I'm not saying they're the ones who are deciding to wear their Kelly Green jerseys or anything like that.
Had nothing to do with why they lost.
But I do think that they make it a bigger deal and they play. I will even say play down. I think the Eagles are a better team. I think Stats thinks the Eagles might be a better team than the 49ers, but they play down to moments. They play down to competition. They play down to big things, which for them playing the Cowboys is the biggest possible thing in the world, is exemplified by the fact they got too spooked and
I
blew
don't
a
think it's
21
the
to nothing
biggest
lead.
thing in the world for them. I think winning
It
the
is.
Super Bowl last year was
see
the biggest thing in the world for them.
Last week, the elementary kids. I mean, this whole.
Did you see when they won? The Eagles did not coordinate that video. That is like a school in Philadelphia.
Donned a Beat Dallas shirt the first time he ever visited AT&T Stadium, which I think it's cool to instigate rivalries. But my point is, the man gets in his head relative to this specific team, and I think there's more than enough proof to support that.
This is
specifically this game.
What we call fan fiction.
That's what we call coping.
I'm not coping. I'm like crushing them. I'm not saying anything is good or justified.
BLG.
By the way, I'm just realizing I forget the 3-person thing on the vertical screen is kind of tripping me out. I didn't see that before.
That looks better.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that looks way better. Never mind. Anyway,
what is it like with a team that is winning this many games, coming off a Super Bowl, to be miserable?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody with the Eagles, their fans, their players, everybody's miserable. The team is a defending Super Bowl champion until recently, the number 1 seed in the NFC.
So it does feel like we're being spoiled brats, right? From the standpoint of like all they do is win. But I think we're intellectually smart enough to see like, okay, you can't just sit here though and say that and they totally ignore the feeling in front of you that things don't feel good and they could feel better. And I think people have a hard time like looking at opportunity costs. I'm sure that's something we used to talk about on our old podcasting days all together. I like to use that phrase a lot. And I think that like people aren't measuring the Eagles what they could, the people who are just like, oh, it's fine, because all Nick Sirianni does is win, blah, blah, blah. I don't think they're measuring what this team could be, again, if they had better coaching. I don't think they have optimum coaching. So I can't imagine Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are like thrilled right now with Nick Sirianni. I can't imagine that. So why should any of us be if that's the case either?
Well, okay, so Nick Sirianni can't completely be at fault. And we do have to get to the Cowboys portion of this, but is Saquon Barkley washed? That's what the internet's asking, because doesn't look great.
I mean, I think I saw a stat about how his yards before contact. Yeah, his yards before contact. So his yards before contact last year were 2.64. His yards before contact this season is down by over a yard. It's 1.4. Against the Cowboys, it was -1 yards before contact. So I do think this was like Saquon's worst game of the season, but I also think like, how can I just be like, it's only his fault?
How do you blame Nick Sirianni? Like, it can't just be Nick Sirianni sucks. Like it has, like the same way I say it all the time. It can't just be that Jerry Jones sucks. Like Saquon was horrible. I mean, in this,
I think he was bad, but I just told you, how is he supposed? What do you think he's supposed to do when he's getting hit -1 yards before contact?
He's got to find a way.
What do you think he should do?
I don't know.
Running backs who are like
backwards hurdle somebody. I've been led to believe that can happen all the time. That's what I've been led to believe.
I'm not even trying to I'm not even a Saquon stan. I'm just saying he physically for most of the year has looked fine to me. This game, I think less so. Needs to stop slipping all the time. The offensive line. The offensive line is the biggest issue.
Let's plant a flag, Stats, for the Philadelphia Eagles father, and that's Dak Prescott. I mean, what is that not true? Is that at this point in time, it's impossible? Stats, you're an objective party, literal impartial divider.
This is sad that you like this. So this is all you can hang your hat on.
This is literally
this is all you can hang your hat on because you know you're going to get to the playoffs.
You're interrupting our guest, a family member, not even a guest. I'm Stats. This is embarrassing. I didn't invite you and expect bickering like this. You know that. That
means the 49ers are the Cowboys' father. So
I've said that. I don't know why you. I said that before either of you did. So that makes them your grandfather. So grandfather Stats, please offer us your thoughts and opinions on the Cowboys side of Sunday's masterpiece.
Well, first of all, I don't like how I'm rapidly aging on the program, but regardless of that, I didn't really realize this until working with you, RJ, that Dak Prescott has consistently in his life played well against the Philadelphia Eagles. The problem with Dak is he doesn't play that way against everybody else. So it's great that they could beat the Eagles, but, great that you're the franchise leader in passing yards. Congratulations, Dak. But that hasn't been enough to this point. So he deserves credit for it. But obviously, if you could change places with the Eagles, you would. So again, I know the winning is you can't say, well, all they do is win, so everything is okay. But at the end of the day, you can only complain about the process when you take the winning for granted. And that's kind of what's happening in Philly right now.
Are you muted? Or
yeah.
I can't hear anything.
If he's not muted, I can't hear him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I still can't hear you.
But no, I said, speaking of what's happening in Philly on WIP, I saw they are openly pondering whether or not the Eagles would be better with Dak Prescott.
This is not like me. This is like one person.
I said they. I said they. The radio station.
The station is not one person
on the radio station. That was said on the radio station's airwaves. That's Stats has worked in radio. I think that what I said is representative of what happened. Is that not fair, Stats?
I do think that maybe they could be a better regular season team and then lose in the playoffs.
So, Stats, I'm curious for your thoughts on the Cowboys side of this game. You already addressed Dak, but Brian Schottenheimer, George Pickens, wherever you want to go. But please talk about the winners because we've devoted way too much time to the team that blew a 21-0 lead, a comeback that was tied for the largest in Dallas Cowboys franchise history.
I have given Jerry Jones a lot of criticism, and God knows he has deserved it. But holy hell, was George Pickens a masterstroke. Now, maybe it doesn't last. Maybe the fuse is burning down on that time bomb. I don't know. But the man is a menace. And the thing that I love about Niners is that even in an adverse situation, maybe you throw it up to him when he's double teamed. Maybe you throw it to him in the flat and there's a guy right there. He can break a tackle. He can make an incredible physical play and turn a potentially negative play into a positive play. And he has done that time and time again for the Cowboys. Home run move by them. Who knows if it lasts, but it's a joy to watch. It's just like, what's the meme? Screw it. George Pickens is down there somewhere, and he is.
There are, you both know as well as I do that there are dumb people everywhere. Sometimes there have been dumb people in conversations that we've had with one another. Maybe they've been in the icebox once upon a time. Those were some very good times. That being said, there are some very dumb people who are of the mindset that the Cowboys should move on from CeeDee Lamb because George Pickens is awesome. This is very dumb. I want to use this opportunity to say that this is very dumb. If you are somebody who feels this way, you are being very dumb.
Is that a big thing?
I mean, CD had some poor drops in this game. He had some drops in the first game against Philly. I don't think anybody is like advocating for his I don't think it was like a garbage performance. He still had 75 yards. I'm also not coping and saying it was awesome, but I thought too much was made about the week 1 game, about how he lost the game because he didn't come down with the catch at the very end. He should have, and they could have won the game, to be clear. But that moment was not why they lost the game.
That was a very tough catch to make.
Right. But if the Cowboys had lost this game, I think you could have said that he could have changed that individually way more fairly than people were saying after the first game between these two teams earlier this year. It was not his best game. He has not had his best season. And so this is some real Woody buzz, like, oh man, look at George Pickens. He's having all the big catches. He's having all the big success. There's the photo of him standing up while the two Eagles are cross-legged over one another on the ground. So people are just incapable of liking both at the same time. And so I have no idea if you want to, like, you know, say that George is your favorite. If you want to put the George Pickens jersey in front of the CD one in your closet, like, I've got no qualms with that. But like, why would you want to move on from CD? Why, like, you would be back to life with only CD, which was the case where it was CD against the Eagles and being double teamed and then relying, with all due respect, on Kevontae Turpin or Jalen Tolbert to go win. The fact that you have George Pickens now to go save the game when CD is having an off game is why you're able to rally from being down 21-0 and pull off this impressive win.
You don't want to be in a position where you got to depend on crazy. And George Pickens has got a little crazy in him. He's great to have as your second wide receiver. I don't know that I want to get rid of CeeDee Lamb and just have George Pickens, because what if things do go off the rails and he does, you know, we've seen him not have his head on straight a few times in his career going back to the Steelers. I wouldn't want to depend on that if I were the Cowboys.
Yeah, they should have paid him when they traded for him. We talked about that every episode pretty much this season. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I come back to.
I mean, it was dumb that they didn't, and it's going to be dumb if they like do the franchise tag dance, and that will be slightly different.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not here to be negative. Stats: the Cowboys defense was historically among the very worst in franchise history. I mean, like, it was bad. It was so bad that we were drawing comparison to the Mike Nolan days that you cautioned me about as they were in front of me back when we all first met in 2020. But the Cowboys have turned a corner. That being said, it's still not an impressive group overall. They are getting better, and they're getting players back, and they have new players and things like that. But what do you make of the fact that Dallas shut down Philadelphia's offense so much? How much do you divvy up the responsibility pie? It was 20% Nick Sirianni being a coward. It was 10% Jalen Hurts. It was 5% Saquon. It was, you know, the residual of the Cowboys defense showing up. Like, how did it shake out in your perspective?
I'm going to go 65-35 Eagles. I think that the Eagles are sabotaging them because they did put up 21 points in the first half. Like, that is a thing that happened. So
when they tried.
Yeah, like, and I want to give the Cowboys defense some credit because, yeah, like, they still made plays. They made tackles and all that stuff. You did shut them down, but also we saw it work in this game with the Eagles in the first half, and we've seen it work when they want it to, when they throw the ball down the field, when they are aggressive, they can shred anybody. So I put most of the blame on Philly, not to take anything away from the Cowboys, but I'm trying to just look at this objectively, or as objectively as I can. I have to put most of the blame on Nick Sirianni.
Wow. I wonder if I was going to say, Brandon, I wonder if like there's not a serious change with the Eagles in the offseason, even if they lose the NFC Championship game, like if they make it that far, like, because it's hard to explain this, whatever you want to call this. And I think I've started to use this analogy a lot. You both know that I use analogies quite often, like I recycle them. But I promise neither one of you have heard this. Have you guys seen National Treasure with Nick Cage?
Of course.
Okay, so do you remember at the end, after he's speaking to the detective who was like hunting him down the whole movie, and they've discovered the treasure, and the detective says someone's got to go to prison, right? Like, because you stole the Declaration of Independence. Like it makes sense. Like, someone has to go to prison for what happened here, and he's like, oh, I got your guy, whatever. So, for lack of a better term, someone has to go to prison for what the Eagles are doing this year. Does that make sense? So, like, who's that person? Like, and we can define what prison means. Maybe it's like having a job, you know, responsibility stripped away or something like that. But the serious candidates to go to prison would be Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Howie Roseman, right? Like, you can't be like, oh, we're changing, you know, I don't know, we're trading AJ Brown. That's that would be the worst person to send to prison in this analogy. But who goes to prison?
Well, everyone hates the Eagles offensive coordinator right now, Kevin Patullo. But it's so like
wow, so no one will say Jalen Hurts is underperforming.
I think Jalen Hurts has played really well at times this year. I think he's also played really not so well at times this year. I don't think you start with him. I think it would be fascinating to see what the offense looks like with Tanner McKee from a standpoint of just like a science experiment where you could be like, okay, if it looks similar, then you definitely know it's a coach. It's like, it's a variable.
Well, isn't that seemingly what everyone thinks based on reports that people are frustrated with Jalen Hurts, that players and coaches like?
I think there's some thought
wouldn't
about
it stand
that.
a reason that they believe there to be truth to that?
Okay, but then look how good Jalen played to build up that 21.
These are reports about
lead.
what's happening within the Eagles building, not what I'm saying.
I know, but then he responded with a great start against this Cowboys defense to start the game, and I think he's not the one who said, "Oh, I don't want to try to score." At the end of the first half, the coach said that. So like he's operating, at some level within the confines of what the coach is directing the offense to do, which I think is not maximizing him and isn't trusting him enough. So again, part of the problem, but I don't think like he's the number one problem. And the Kevin Patullo thing, it's just so lame to me that people are like, oh, fire the offensive coordinator. I mean, like, I don't care. Go ahead. Like, I'm not saying keep him, but it's literally Nick Sirianni's right-hand man. So what are we doing here? And it's Nick Sirianni's dictating the approach on offense and how they play. Like Kevin Patullo is operating like under Nick Sirianni. Like that's just not like this own guy that you can just be like. And then like, what does Nick do if he's not involved with the offense? Like that, and that's the biggest thing. And you know what I've thought about? It's so much easier to talk about what Nick Sirianni doesn't do because he doesn't coach the defense. He doesn't pick the players. He doesn't. Like there's so many things you can point to in terms of what he doesn't do. It leads to what does he do, and more importantly, what does he do well? Because I don't think it's game management. I don't think it's giving them a schematic advantage. Because any kind of all 22 person you see is like, wow, these Eagles concepts are so basic. So I'm just frustrated. That's all.
Well, and not only that, but what would this be? 5 different offensive coordinators in the last 5 years for the Eagles? Like clearly changing the offensive coordinator is not the difference maker. The constant is Sirianni. So if you're changing offensive coordinators because you're not happy with what the offense is producing, you're not looking at the right person because they've already done that multiple times and it hasn't changed anything.
Well, and anytime he's been more involved, the offense is worse too, because like the first year he's calling plays. He's so bad at it. And by the way, that was one of the reasons the Eagles like purportedly hired him. Like I think Jeffrey Lurie talked about like, his offensive prowess. So by the original standard, failure, had to give up the play calling to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen does a great job the rest of that year. And then in 2022, gets hired away as the Colts head coach. Nick Sirianni, they hire from within. They promote Brian Johnson. I think Brian Johnson did a better job than people give him credit for, but obviously it didn't go well. He gets fired. The organization makes him hire Kellen Moore. That's not like a Sirianni pick. It's not like Sirianni's like, I want Kellen Moore to come in here. Eagles win the Super Bowl. And then this year, it's Nick Sirianni's right-hand man again. And then all of a sudden, the offense is way underperforming. So anytime Nick Sirianni's more involved with the offense, it gets worse.
I want to ask Stats a Cowboys question, but before I do, you both can back me up on this. I said when the Cowboys moved on from Kellen Moore that I was excited about that because you can't, or at least at the time, you couldn't have hired Mike McCarthy and then never seen what he had as an offensive play call. That would have been very stupid to have gone the entire. Well, I think it went well. The year he took over offensive play calling, Dak finished second in MVP voting. CD set the single season franchise record in every receiving capacity. To answer your question with objective facts and data. That being said, I was in the middle of
what season was that? It was 2023, right?
That was 2023.
They became the only 7 seed or 2 seed to lose to a 7 seed.
Yes. Okay. But it did go very well to answer the question. My point was you had to uncover that. You couldn't have hired Mike McCarthy, who had all the track record he did in Green Bay and have never seen his offense. You both heard me say this many times. You were equally difficult in me explaining that point then as you were right now. So my question is, what is that thing like with Nick Sirianni? And if you don't know the answer, then I think that might be the problem. But like, what is the thing that you have to figure out? To be able to say, because I would have been pissed if the Cowboys had fired Mike McCarthy, whatever, and we had never seen that. So what is the thing that you're like, okay, like I need to see this to know, to make a determination that I want Nick Sirianni around or I'm ready to move on. But I don't think that you know what that thing is, which again is part of the problem.
Well, because he called plays before, so it's not like if you do
Right.
it now, it's like. Although I kind of want it to happen, just from the standpoint of like either he does a great job, things turn around, or two, it's like, look, this is him. He's part of this. Like he needs more blame. I just the idea that like he can skirt blame and like it's kind of all Kevin Batullo. I hate that idea. And that seems to be going on, but I really hate that idea.
Stats relative to the Cowboys. They're 5-5-1. They're about to play on Thanksgiving Day in what will be the most watched game of the NFL season outside of the Super Bowl. I don't know that either of you know this, but it's Patrick Mahomes' first start ever at AT&T Stadium in the NFL. The Chiefs did visit his rookie year, but obviously he wasn't playing. It's going to be a big game, etc. There's positive momentum behind the Cowboys. I don't know if either of you know this, but for context, have won consecutive games for the first time ever this season. And this game presents the latest opportunity for them to get north of 500 since week 5 of last year when they played against George Pickens with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Stats, I'll ask, with a win or a loss, like where does this Cowboys season go? Like, how willing are you to entertain? Like, they could be a playoff team. They're not, like, because after last week, it was like, oh, they beat this crummy Raiders team. And after this week, it's like, oh, they beat this like deeply insecure Eagles team that is a bit of a fraudulent, kind of pretender contender. So we either lump the Eagles in the same box as the Raiders, or we accept that they're moving forward and could take on and beat the Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
So as someone that roots for and covers the 49ers, I have been monitoring the NFC feverishly. What are the Seahawks doing? What are the Rams doing? What are the Bears doing? What are the Lions doing? Because the Niners are going to be competing with all those teams for a wild card spot. And weeks ago, I was like, well, okay, we could scratch the Cowboys off that list. I don't have to pay attention to them anymore. And all of a sudden, now I have to start paying attention to the Cowboys because they're 5-5-1. Now, they have a hell of a schedule coming up. Chiefs, Lions. That Vikings game looks a little easier, but then the Chargers also. So they're going to have to earn it. But I had written them off completely, and now you can't, particularly with the quarterback that's playing as well as Dak Prescott is playing right now, especially with my 49ers, whose defense looks like friggin' Swiss cheese most of the time. So I have to give the Cowboys credit. They have battled back. They are relevant, at least for the next few weeks, and I didn't think they were going to be.
I think I said before Sunday that they had to win 2 of their next 3. So they've obviously won 1. So that would mean they have to split the Chiefs and Lions games to fulfill what I said, and then win 3 of their final 4. Stats, I think we all would take the Cowboys over the Vikings. They play the Chargers after that. Kind of a push, but that might be the one they drop. And then they visit Washington and the Giants to close it out. I think we would take them, in those games. So if they're able to steal one of the ones that were, whatever, which is the position they've put themselves in, obviously. And even then, that would only put them at 9-7-1 which may not be enough.
Yeah, I don't think 9 wins is enough. Because you look at like the Packers right now, they're in the 6th spot with 7-3-1. The 49ers are 8-4.
Yeah, I mean, it probably won't be enough. And this will be Cope. I want to say this right now, partly to hold myself accountable. I will be impressed if they finish that well. And there will be, I think, some objective things to be impressed by that, they dug out of that hole. And we all understand the personal tragedy that they're still dealing with in an ongoing sense makes not only dealing with it very difficult, but evaluating the football of it all meaningless. We understand that, and we all know that. We don't have to keep saying it because it's understood. But I mean, if they finish 9-7-1, I will tip my hat to them. Now, it will be a matter of like, congrats, you climbed out of the hole that you dug and then brought everyone into, but it will offer, as the trade for Quinnen Williams did, hope for 2026. That's what I think. Like, I'm starting to really get excited for next season, but also carry some excitement that it could happen this year if the cards fall in the right directions.
That's something, I guess.
Mac Jones is your leader right now. I don't think you're in a position to really talk a lot of trash.
Can we bring
brought him on the show?
Hey, wait. I mean, we got 8 wins. All right, we got 8 wins now, so we're not just hoping to win 9 if everything goes perfect the rest of the way. Can we talk about Brian Schottenheimer stealing his post-game speech from Pete Carroll?
What did he say?
This whole, can you win the game in the first quarter? Pete Carroll did that. That's a Pete Carroll speech. It's a great post-game speech, by the way. But dude stole it from him.
I genuinely don't know if you know this, Stats. Even though you have feverishly been monitoring the Cowboys, but Brian Schottenheimer has regarded Pete Carroll as his mentor, and spoken how he has. I don't. So I think he would cop to having stolen it. I think he would say like he was inspired by it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he saw Pete do that and kind of maybe always dreamed of doing it on some level. So I think it was, it was the apprentice like wielding the green lightsaber for the first time, being like, wow, this is what Qui-Gon looked like type thing.
I think it's kind of weak. Come up with your
Phantom
own
of
stuff.
the Menace.
That's right before the Monday Night Football game. There was like an hour-long special about how Ed McCaffrey played for Mike Shanahan, and now their sons are operating together. Like, there's legacy all over the NFL. You are capable of understanding this.
Yes, I am. But Christian McCaffrey doesn't do the exact moves that Ed McCaffrey did when he played just because they were in spot. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same. He stole the post-game speech, and I think he realized it, and then he kind of like cut it off as he was like in the middle of it and changed it a little bit. But I only noticed because I loved that post-game speech from Pete Carroll when he did it. I thought it was hilarious and fantastic, and I say that as someone that has spent the majority of my life hating Pete Carroll's guts because he's been kicking my team's butt for 10 years when he was in Seattle. But I just was, when I saw Schottenheimer do that, I was like, oh man, that did not fill me with a lot of confidence for his coaching future.
Two things, stats. One, Eagles Girl 52, who's a pretty common staple for our live shows, incorrectly says that I didn't bring you on to moderate, but to insult the 49ers. I would never, because I'm humble enough to admit that the 49ers own the Cowboys. Brandon isn't humble enough to admit that Dak Prescott owns the Eagles, but that's neither here nor there. The second thing that I was going to bring up is you kind of stole that little bit just now from yourself in talking about Russell Wilson. We've all seen the interview of you telling Russ, like, I've spent the majority of my adult life hating your guts because you played for the Seahawks. And you just ripped the same thing off to talk about Pete Carroll. But we should say, as we kind of close your time here, that you maybe indirectly predicted Russ's downfall, who's now a member of the NFC East, by the way. But you were the one to be like, you suck. And well, look at everything.
To his face.
Yeah.
It's true. I do have that forever on my resume, that I did tell Russell Wilson to his face that he sucked, and he could not have cared any less when I did that, by the way. Look, I mean, again, teams make these decisions, and BLG just bounced out. Like, what the hell was Brian Daboll doing playing Russell Wilson this year when Jameis Winston is how many times did we have to see Russell Wilson come in and do nothing for the Giants, to the point where Brian Daboll is trying to rip Jackson Dart out of the blue medical tent? Just play Jameis. And I saw somebody say this, by the way, that Jameis Winston should just be like an automatic reliever for anybody, any team that's struggling, because he's so much fun when he gets in there. It's like, oh, your team's quarterback's out. All right, Jameis goes to you this week. You get him this week. He gets to play. There's so much better with him in the game.
Brandon, before we let stats go, should the 49ers, or do the 49ers have a quarterback controversy on their hands? Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions on Monday night. Mac Jones was awesome.
No, I mean, Brock Purdy's better.
Oh, Eagles girl noted that you were in the ice box, Brandon.
I mean, I do have a cold, so I guess so.
Wow. Stats, before we boot you, anything else you want to say? Get off your chest. It could be about the Cowboys, Eagles, Niners, the Jaguars, whatever you want.
No, I would just say this to all Eagles fans. I get that there are frustrations. I completely understand that. But you are experiencing right now a level of success that is rare in the NFL, extremely rare. And I get it. There are problems. I get all of that. But I say this as someone that watched his team go to multiple NFC championship games and multiple Super Bowl games and envies what the Eagles have, which is an actual Super Bowl win against the Kansas City Chiefs. This stuff does not last forever, and it will change. And when it does, you're going to be twice as miserable because you're still going to have the problems and you're not going to have the wins. So just take a breath and at least acknowledge that you can complain after a victory and not a loss, because those days don't last forever.
I think that's well said, Stats, and that's true. But it also works towards the point of, this is why, like, there's so much pressure to capitalize now. Like, and win another Super Bowl, which it feels like they could with this potential that they have now. And if they don't, then it's a massive wasted opportunity. And it's like, okay, Nick Sirianni still did a lot of good things, but he didn't live up to the potential of what this could have been if he was a lot better.
Yes.
Do you have a soliloquy for the Cowboys stats? Or like, this did not go at all the way I thought it was going.
Well, but you got one, BLG. And I can say this.
Of course.
I know what it's like to not have one. I
For
know
sure.
it. So everything that happens after this is gravy. Ask RJ. He knows. He would crawl over broken glass
Of
to
course.
have what the Eagles have. He would walk through hell in a gasoline suit to have what the Eagles have.
I have a good friend who's a Broncos fan, and in 2016, which was the year they were defending, and when they were like mathematically eliminated, we were talking, and they were just like, "Oh man, I'm so mad that we missed the playoffs," and I was like, "You have no right." It's like you have zero right to. And it was funny because I was like, "You can't talk for a decade," and it was kind of funny because then the Broncos did go like a decade of being irrelevant, but even still, like that was not bad. So relatively speaking. Stats, again, are you going to offer the Cowboys any kind of words, or are you just going to be a big old jerk?
Good job, Cowboys. I always enjoy watching the Eagles lose. I will forever like watching the Eagles lose. So thanks for that, but now stop winning.
Ooh. Do you want to predict who wins on Thursday, Stats? Cowboys or Chiefs?
I got to take the Chiefs. They're inevitable, man. They've scarred me too deeply for me to. I will never pick against them. I was rooting so hard for them to lose because Patrick Mahomes will forever haunt my nightmares, let alone the fact that he should be on the damn 49ers. But regardless,
that's also so dumb. Like, I hate the 49ers for that. Like, I hated every team that was like, actually, like when Bruce Arians was like, I actually, I had first round grade on Patrick Mahomes. Shut up. You didn't take him. Like, only the Chiefs get to take credit for Patrick Mahomes. This reverse hindsight is dumb.
Well, the 49ers have never done that because they didn't even scout Patrick Mahomes. So they went in the complete opposite direction.
Brandon, I wasn't gonna put Stats on blast, but this didn't go how I envisioned, so I have no problem doing it. I told him when he was coming on today to prepare a song, and he said, "Remind me why." So that was kind of hurtful.
Wow.
Yeah. So that being said, Stats, what's your song? And why?
I'm going all the way back to 1981. So a topical pick. You Drive Me Crazy by Shakin' Stevens, and it's in honor of Brock Purdy. Because that man just loves to absolutely make me want to rip my hair out. In his last 19 starts, he has 19 interceptions. He just keeps giving the damn ball to the other team. I almost punched a hole in my television last night. So there you go. Shakin' Stevens, You Drive Me Crazy.
Your hair looks great, Stats. Like, you've got the best hair of the three of us. I know that's saying a lot.
It's not saying much.
Yeah, but you do have the best hair here. You look. I told Stats this once. I don't know that you see this, Brandon. He looks like Andrew Garfield. He told me he's gotten that before.
Sure. I don't know.
Andrew Garfield, Jay Baruchel is the one I get a lot.
Who's that?
Jay, how do you spell that?
I don't know. She's just not that into you, or she's
not. Oh, yeah.
I see that one.
And This Is the End. The main guy from This Is the End.
Yep. Let me just say, if I could have had his salary and his career, like, what the hell went wrong for me? I was that close, apparently.
I think you do look more like him than you do Andrew Garfield, now that I look at this.
Yeah.
But this guy's from Canada. You're from the good old red, white, and blue. You know what I mean? Where's Andrew Garfield from?
I don't know. London?
I don't know, but he hates Mondays. London?
Isn't he from? He's got an accent, so he's not from America.
He was born in L.A. So.
I was wrong about that. Okay. Thanks.
Eagles Girl says that you have McVay-esque hair. So that's a proper insult to get you out of here.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
So, the interesting McVay spelling, not a call out here, but maybe it's like Christmas themed, like a sleigh. You know what I mean? Like McVay.
This is great, man. Does anyone else want to comment on my appearance? Let's go.
Wow. What's the last word you want said before you get the boot?
Gubernatorial.
Wow. Maybe Stats is going to make a run in politics.
Gubernatorial. Do you know what that means? Oh, I guess you do, based on that.
Yes.
So, it
like
says
a governor's race.
But it says the definition is relating to a state governor or the office of state governor. So could I be like if you were to be like
election?
But if you were to be like, what's in that file? I could be like, that's gubernatorial. You know what I mean? Like, talking about like that's.
I guess. I don't think people.
Is that a proper usage for the word?
So. I mean, I don't think it's like wrong, but you know what I mean? I don't think it's how human beings speak.
I know, but I've learned a lot of words on the mixtape. I learned gubernatorial.
It's like when you use like a translator, and it's like, yeah, that's like literally the definition of those words. That's not how anyone talks.
Yeah, I do a Spanish video every week on Blogging the Boys, so I run into that problem often. I don't think we have to spend much time on the Giants. I mean, I think we kind of indirectly did when you were out. It was cool.
Well, the Commanders first because they're in order.
Play.
I'm saying they're on the bye. Well, there's talk that Jaden Daniels might come back.
Well, we'll get to that in the talk for next week. That's what I'm saying. We're still recapping.
Yeah.
So So that was it. They didn't play.
That's it.
The Giants almost beat that was the best possible game if you're a Giants fan. I think like you had good times, good vibes, showed some fight, showed some promise. You were justified because you probably said that they should have turned to Jameis a long time ago, and they lost and they fired their defensive coordinator. Like it was as best as it possibly could have gone with regards to the future.
Yeah, it seems like there is increasing momentum. Nothing done and dusted by any means, but that like Mike Kafka might stay around just based on their first 2 games here. Will be interesting to see, more of how Jackson Dart looks like with Kafka, because, it's not like you're gauging a lot about your long-term future with what Jameis is playing like. But in a lost season, Jameis Winston's like a fun quarterback to have, in that you'll get some entertainment value out of that, which they've done. The touchdown catch he had was, hey, it looks like he can play wide receiver. That was an awesome play, and a prepared celebration to boot. So, they're terrible, but it's honestly what's best for them at this point. The worst thing the Giants could do is win some games here and have this false positive at the end of the year, and they still have potential to do that. When you look at their schedule, they could win some of these games. So they play the Patriots this week, but then they get Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, and Cowboys. So not impossible. They could win multiple games down there, but for now they're on the right path.
I believe, and we'll obviously about to talk about this, but this Commanders game is Monday Night Football, I believe, or the Patriots game is Monday Night Football. Yeah.
Giants officially eliminated from the playoffs, by the way. Not that
right.
They were going to turn around, but just mathematically impossible.
Are you ready to get to week 13?
Sure.
Are you like, you sound like you kind of have something you still want?
Yeah, I did sound unsure.
Okay. Well, here we go chronologically, as we've discussed many different times. So on, I think we should pick the Thanksgiving games while we're here. Lions hosting the Packers, relevant for the NFC playoff picture. Stats.
I like the Lions.
2.5 points you're laying at home. So the Packers have eaten into the home field advantage. So
I don't think the Packers are going to sweep the Lions this year because they beat them back in week 1. That just doesn't. I know the Lions haven't been playing great, but the Packers don't look amazing either. So give me the Lions.
I'm rooting for the Lions. In every way, from a playoffs. Like I think the Packers, if you're trying to pick the team that's collapsed would most help the Cowboys outside of the draft stuff, it's the Packers because they also have the tie. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't have to worry about like anything or whatever. So really rooting for the Lions in this game, which is of course going to be the time when they bite me. But I agree with you. And it's also worth noting that the Packers beat their teeth in, but that was like a week after the Micah trade. You know what I mean? Like the Packers they were not going to lose to whoever they were playing. They were
week
just
1. Weird things happen. The Patriots lost to the Raiders. Yeah.
Thanksgiving night, the Ravens are hosting the Joe Burrow-led Bengals, although without T. Higgins. Ravens
you're skipping over the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, I was gonna do these others and then do the NFC.
Well, that's not how we do this. We usually do this chronologically here.
Anyway, the Ravens are laying 7 points. I will totally take the points. I think I'm gonna take the Ravens, but I'm gonna take the points.
Burrow's gonna play, or we think he might. Yeah, I'll take. Yeah, the Ravens have not looked right. Are you saying they're laying the points?
No, I'm taking the points, but I'm taking the Ravens to
Gotcha.
win.
Yeah, I'm taking the points as well, for sure. I think the Bengals, that defense is terrible. But the Ravens just don't look right. Lamar doesn't look healthy. I don't know what Joe Burrow is going to be coming off of this injury, but I think the Bengals are not done yet. So I'll take the Bengals.
Okay, so the Cowboys opened as 3.5 point underdogs to the Chiefs. That's down to 3. So slight movement, but maybe a lot of people taking the Cowboys after Sunday, but 3-point home dogs like they wound up, settling at against the Eagles. So all they got to do is, let the Chiefs score 21 points and they got them right where they want them. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. I'm taking the wins. I'm definitely gonna take the points. I think that they're having a moment. I'm certainly not saying that I think this moment necessarily translates into anything serious. I think the hole's way too deep. The Chiefs did survive against the Colts last week. That was impressive. But the Chiefs have just looked a little bit gettable, and I think that this is a moment where the Cowboys are just going to ride this, and then people like you are going to be highly annoyed at all of the Cowboys fanfare next week, especially if the Eagles drop the Black Friday game.
I think the Chiefs win. I think the Cowboys are due for a bit of a letdown after that emotional win at home, and the Chiefs might not make it look pretty because they rarely do, but they're typically in it. And it seems like they just find a way to win even though it looks like they shouldn't. So give me the Chiefs.
Okay, so we are differing to start the NFC East games. The Eagles are at home against the Bears on Black Friday, as I mentioned. 7 points is the line. Is that where it opened?
I think it was 7.5 originally. Okay. So down slightly. That's a shocking line.
That's a very big line for an offense that had a very big start against the Cowboys, but I haven't looked at this, but I bet if you looked at the last 2 games for the Eagles or last 12 quarters or something like that, it would mostly not be great for the offense. You know what I'm saying?
And the Eagles secondary is really banged up to the point where Reed Blankenship, starting safety, went down against the Cowboys. TBD if he can play this week. Andrew Makuba will not be able to play. He fractured his ankle. That leaves the Eagles only had 3 safeties on their roster. So they have one right now who is healthy, Sidney Brown, who's not good. And he's the one who injured Andrew Makuba, by the way. And then they have one guy in the practice squad who's never played in the NFL before. I guess they could move Cooper DeJean back to safety, or not back to. He doesn't play there full time. But they could move him to safety. The problem with that now is you need a new slot cornerback. And also, Adoree Jackson suffered a concussion from what it looked like in the Cowboys game.
He was really upset about it, too.
There's a lot of moving part. Oh, I'm sure it hurt. I'm sure it wasn't a fun feeling. And he had suffered one earlier this year, too. So maybe it was frustrating that it happened again. Their secondary is not looking good right now. I do like Ben Johnson a lot. I do not like Caleb Williams a lot. And, I mean, let's be real. I predicted the Cowboys to win that game. Obviously, I'm still mad about it from a standpoint of you're allowed to change your expectation when they go up 21-0. But I did think the Eagles were going to lose the game in Dallas. I did think all the same time they're going to win against the Bears. So I'm not going to move off of that here. And, I mean, when you look at the Bears' underlying metrics, this is a team I haven't checked this since, but they entered last week ranked 26th in DVOA. They still, I believe, have a negative point differential. In fact, hat tip to a good friend in my podcast. I'm not really co-host. I'm more of a guest on his podcast. The Ringer's really special. But in the last 10 years, only 2 teams have produced 8+ wins through week 12, despite having a negative point differential. That is this year's Bears and the 2020 Browns. So I just do think they're not that great and losses are coming. So I will take the Eagles to win the game. And I think the line tells you that too. The fact that it is this way, it tells you the Eagles will win. I don't feel great though about the cover right now. So I say Bears cover, but Eagles win.
Yeah, this type of juxtaposition always jumps out to me. I said this ahead of week 1. The Eagles are 7-point favorites, but the over/under is 44.5. Versus we just talked about Ravens Bengals. The Ravens are 7-point favorites, identical, but the over/under there is 51.5. So you're talking about 7 more points. That's just I don't know how I mean it's very difficult for that to land. So I'm going to take the points, but I am going to take the Eagles to win. I will say that if the Eagles lose this game in what we can objectively agree is an embarrassing way, 21-0 blown lead is embarrassing, but it's uniquely embarrassing. If you blow this in an average embarrassing way, I do think that it's a tough conversation.
Embarrassing.
So I'll take the points, but the Eagles, which it sounds like you are doing as well.
Same thing.
And by the way, David Smith says the Bears haven't beaten anyone. Have the Cowboys beaten anyone now? Or the Eagles not qualified as anyone? If the Bears win this game. Count. Okay, well, that's what I was asking. Okay, chronologically, so
to your point though about frauds and stuff, I mean, there's no great teams in the NFL. That is true. The Rams, I think, are number 1, and then everyone else. Who do you feel great about after that?
Even the AFC has just the Bills falling off has been such a bummer. You know what I mean?
Who's the second best team in the NFL? The Patriots, maybe. Okay.
I mean, if I had they're second in my power rankings.
But let's get out of the AFC because who cares? For the sake of this, in the NFC, it's the Rams, obviously number 1. I guess you could put Seahawks number 2.
I would say it's some debate between Seattle, Philly.
Do you love their championship equity with Sam Darnold? No,
or Drake May for that matter. If you go back to or Josh Allen for that matter, he has an MVP and whatnot. But obviously, you could have this conversation in a billion different ways.
The Bears are the 3 seed, and they're not that great. The Bucs have been leaking oil, and they're so banged up, and there's tough stretch right now against good teams, and they've been losing to all of them. The Packers, no one is afraid of them. These are like, and the 49ers. No one believes these are all the playoff teams, and no one's like these are good teams.
I agree with you. So okay, the Cowboys and Eagles will play before the weekend fully hits. Obviously, it's a holiday, but that being said, those aren't primetime games, just from a definition standpoint. The primetime games, Thursday night is okay with Ravens Bengals, but other than that, BLG, it's a tough scene because the next two NFC East teams play in primetime. Sunday Night Football, the Broncos are visiting DC.
I'll take the Broncos.
Gross. Well, you got to lay 6.5 points on the road.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. But your point about Jaden Daniels that you were bringing up a moment ago.
That I guess I saw he spoke at an event, I guess some kind of a charity event, and was like, "Hey, I want to play if I'm healthy." So, I guess he'll be out there. Not this week, it sounds like, but beyond this week, maybe the team will try to shut him down and readjust that. If they lose this game, and that's what they should do. But I guess he might feel differently.
I'm gonna lay the points. I don't really believe in the Broncos. To be clear.
You don't have to. You just have to.
I know.
Believe in the Commanders.
But I'm saying that to express my utter lack of belief in Washington. So it is what it is. But and finally, I mentioned the primetime slate is going to suck. Monday Night Football, the New York Giants at the New England Patriots. It will be kind of cool to see the Patriots at. I don't think they've played a home game in primetime this year. Oh no, the Thursday night game was at home, but 7.5 points. The Patriots are favored by.
What was the final score of that Lions-Giants game?
Well, the Lions won by 7 because they had the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown and then the Aiden Hutchinson sack.
I think the Lions or Giants may have covered that spread, and if that's the case, I don't remember what it was. If that's the case, the Giants will be 2-0.
I'm gonna lay the points on the Patriots. My thought on I don't feel this way about Washington, but if either the Giants or Eagles cover, granted one is an underdog and one is a favorite, I think it will be on a late score. Like I think if the Eagles cover the 7, it's like they're up 4 or 3, and then they have this like game sealing touchdown that ices it and covers the spread. And I think the Giants, it will kind of be like some late game heroism where they just narrow the margin and still lose, but they cover. So, but I'm comfortable laying the points on the Patriots, but not on Philadelphia right now.
Yeah. So in week against the Packers, the Giants were 7.5 point underdogs. They only lost by 7, covered the spread. Giants were 12.5 point underdogs, only lost by 7, covered the spread. So why not? Why not keep it going and say that the Giants are going to lose, but cover the spread?
I think that's like if you are trying to distill the Jameis of the Giants down into a point, it's that, right? It's that like, hey, dude, like we're covering with this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and that is inherently descriptive of your games being more entertaining to watch than what they were. So, sweet. Are you ready to add your own song, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm gonna go "My Own Prison" by Creed.
Why?
You talked about prison earlier, and that was one of my contenders. And Nick Sirianni kind of has created his own prison in a way.
He's created his own prison in a way.
Yeah. He's created these artificial constraints over the team that don't need to exist and make it worse and trap them. And just a good Creed song. I'm going to go with the obvious, like Higher or My Sacrifice.
So what? Tell me the name again, please.
My Own Prison, which is also the name of the album, which you may be seeing. By Creed. It's the 3rd song on their debut album, My Own Prison. The song is called My Own Prison.
This wound up being topical to my song, in that I think you know this. I would imagine you know this. Creed once played halftime of a Dallas Cowboys Thanksgiving Day game. Do you know this?
I'm very aware of this. Yes.
So the song that I am adding features this year's Thanksgiving Day performer, for a reason that I can't explain now. But I'll tell you after this. But I can explain after the Super Bowl. So that's a little bit of a clue. But it's by Post Malone. Now we already have Circles on the playlist, which is my favorite Post Malone song. But this is Post covering "Only Want to Be With You" by Hootie and the Blowfish. He did this.
How dare you?
What?
Not take an actual Hootie song. A cover of a Hootie song?
It's a great song. So in this...
Put it by the right artist.
Well, this cover was for the Pokemon 25th anniversary. I don't know like how that correlated, but it was for that. Like that's what the album art is and stuff. And you know, in the song when Hootie says the Dolphins make me cry,
Yep.
Post says in this song that the Cowboys make him cry. So
Well,
I find
whatever happened to Pre-Malone?
It's a good question. It's a fun question. I can't believe I never thought of that. Do you know that one of the most interacted tweets I've ever had in my career has been about I don't know if you know this exists. There's a Post Malone Canes. Did you know this?
Yeah, you've showed that to me.
Yeah. And the tweet I had announcing this was absurd. Like, I mean, I really can't, like, you have that tweet that's like the steps to commenting on the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
It just like, it blew up. And there were these special Post Malone cups that they were, giving out at all Canes at the time. I probably got 100 requests from people to get them a cup. So
did you get them a cup?
I did not.
Shout out to Joe Tranchina 7810 watching from Italy.
Yeah. Wow. Cowboys fan Joe.
Where in Italy? I want to know, Joe. So comment that here.
Are we ready to do chunk deuces? Because I'm gonna go eat some Panda Express. Not an ad.
Well, yeah, I guess.
The truth.
Well, I mean,
we'll give Joe a second. While we give, I'll vamp to give Joe a second to tell us. Don't dox yourself, Joe. Like we don't want your address. Just give
me like a region. Yeah, you don't need to.
I need to fess up. I tried to get back into Stranger Things. I just couldn't do it. It's a little silly.
You don't have to.
I know I wanted to though, and I know that the final season is like beginning here this week. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope everyone enjoys it. But I hadn't seen season 4, and I tried to start it. Maybe the boat just kind of passed, and I'm just not into it anymore. But hey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I'm struggling to keep up with Survivor. Just football season Survivor has been a challenge this year, especially because I like to listen to Rob has a podcast too, so I can't I need to watch the episode and then listen to all those podcasts about that episode before I can then start listening to the next podcast episodes or watch the next episode. So yeah, kind of.
I used to have that problem with. I don't think we ever talked about this. Did you ever watch? I think it was called The Arrow or The Flash on the CW.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, the one with what's his name?
Stephen Amell was the Green Arrow.
But what's his character's
name?
The Queen.
Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
And Grant Gustin was the Flash. And so those shows were cool, but you couldn't binge them like when they were on Netflix because they would like in a given week it would be like an episode of Green Arrow and then an episode of The Flash. So you had to watch them like in sequence, which was you had to like if you were on Netflix, you watched like episode 4 of The Arrow, you then had to go watch episode 4 of The Flash. It was
I think I just ignored The Flash and listened only to
first world problems. As we leave, Eagles Girl asks if we have a show next Tuesday. We didn't talk about this yet, but
we didn't. I thought we planned out multiple weeks ahead.
This was the last of the weeks that we planned, because this was the run through the Cowboys Thanksgiving.
What is next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday is
December
2nd.
What the hell? I mean, I that makes sense, and like in that, I know it's really, but like I'm just not ready for it. Mentally, like to see it's December. That's wild to me. I'm not ready. For that.
And so, for future planning purposes, even for Eagles fans, the Cowboys play on Thursday Night Football next week. So you get back.
Where did November go? I feel like just Halloween was here.
So you get back-to-back Cowboys games on Thursdays. Thanksgiving this week against Kansas City, and they're at Detroit next Thursday night.
Well, then I guess we could do. I don't have a problem doing it.
That works for me. And
actually, we should do it Tuesday because the Eagles play on Friday.
I think we could even do Monday then.
I was going to say, maybe we'll do earlier. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But we don't have a lot of opportunities to do Mondays. You know what I'm saying? Like we could.
That's true.
Knock it out. So
yeah, that would make sense.
It will be Monday or Tuesday. How about that?
Yeah, Wednesday would be way too late.
It would also not make sense. So, Brandon, as we leave, how about you tell us your favorite thing about Stats? And it can't be that he's gubernatorial.
Well, I don't know if he is. He used that word, but I don't think he himself is relating to.
How about this? Instead of your favorite thing about Stats, tell us your favorite thing about your favorite thing.
Man, my favorite thing. My favorite thing about Stats is that I think he's just really good at what he does.
That's true.
It's just impressive.
Gold Standard Network. Everyone checking out on YouTube. And
I think he's just such a command over, and it's something I wish I had. And I think it's just hard to do. Like he speaks so concisely and clearly, and yeah, he just sounds so smooth. So that's my favorite thing about Stats.
Joe reminded us that Monday is the Giants game, so we'll do the show on Tuesday so we can talk about it.
I mean, who cares? But yeah, sure, fine.
Okay.
Let's be real. Doesn't it matter?
Okay, so that was your favorite thing about Stats. Your favorite thing about your favorite thing.
What's your favorite thing?
Well, my favorite thing about Stats, actually, I mentioned.
But also, what's just your favorite thing?
Well, hang on. I'm going to go in order. You brought up how great of a worker he is, and I agree with all that. I co-sign that. But he's an amazing friend. I've mentioned a few times that my son's birthday was on Monday, and like Stats is a good enough friend that like I'm Facebook friends with him in real life. That's not always the case with everyone you meet on the internet. And I had posted some photos of my son on his birthday, and just wrote whatever. And he for anyone who doesn't remember, Brandon does, but my son spent the first 2 months of his life in the NICU. He was born 2 months premature, so it was a really given when he was born, and I want to say my coworkers were wonderful about it. Brandon was amazing, and Stats was amazing at the time, and our bosses. But it was really hard just because it was the holidays, and it was still COVID times. I mean, just doing all sorts of different things. And he was so wonderful then. I mean, Stats was just kind of offering me whatever support he could. But he sent me a really awesome text message this morning, and he said, seeing pictures of my son who's now 4, he was like, that is just so awesome, so amazing to see his growth and see how far he's come and all these different sort of things. I mean, so not everybody you work with or even are friends with or become friends with is that type of friend, and Stats is that type of friend. So I did want to put that
100%. Absolutely. It's a great guy all around. No notes.
My favorite thing,
it's
a rotational thing right now.
Wow.
It's Panda Express because I'm about to eat it. And
that's your favorite thing?
Well, I wanted to say it right now because I'm about to go eat it. So I want to like create the hype that it's going to live up to.
What are you going to get?
I have a bigger plate. I think is what it's called. It's big day.
I've never actually been.
So I got nothing but orange chicken and chow mein. So I'm about to just.
I would get the orange chicken if I went, just based on that's what I seem to hear everyone talk about.
Soggy Biscuits loves Panda Express. So.
I love a good biscuit. I don't know about soggy biscuit. Yeah, I don't know about soggy covered biscuit, in gravy, sausage gravy. Especially.
My wife's grandmother used to make chocolate gravy. My wife's from Oklahoma, kind of a popular thing there.
What is that, like a dessert? Or is that a savory?
They would eat it a lot for breakfast, like it's kind of a breakfast item.
Wild. I would try it, but wild. My favorite thing is my parents, and my favorite thing about them. I mean, see, this is a terrible answer by now. You're picking Panda Express. So I'm picking my parents.
Well, I also had my answer about Stats was really great. Yours was just kind of nice, but mine was awesome.
Are incredibly supportive and loving, as you can tell just from even their watching the show like every week. I don't tell them when we're going to go live too, by the way. They figure it out. So not that I'm hiding it. It's just like, I just don't always remember to tell them or assume that they can even watch. But
I would add to Brandon's point, like Brandon's parents have like emailed me. Like I've never given them my email. Like they have just found these things and been very kind and very gracious to me as someone who Brandon works with and is Brandon's friend. Brandon's parents are the second best parents in the world after mine. I mean, like they are truly, truly, truly wonderful people. And I've never given them a hug, but the moment I can, I'm going to give them. It's going to be like, it's not going to be one of those like side hugs. It's going to be like one of the full embrace hugs. And on the subject of being a coward and going to Philadelphia, I messaged Holden after the game and I asked him if he watched it. And he responded and said, "Aren't you supposed to be riding?" And I said, "I am." I said, "But please answer the question." And he never did. So he is running and ducking, which is.
I don't know if he did watch it. He's usually a pretty busy guy.
Well, then he's a fake fan. He's not a real fan. He's a front runner. Just
I mean, he might have. I just
box
don't know.
Score fan. Like what? That is the like antithesis of what Philadelphia preaches their culture to be. Like, oh, we love our teams. Blah blah blah. Wow.
So he's not just having fun. Like
you just called Holden a fraud. That was how I heard the whole sequence. So.
His schedule is that sometimes
that's amazing that he provides for his family. I'm impressed with Holden, but I mean, like he's a fake fan. Your words, not mine.
He knows that's untrue. All right. I had a good Friendsgiving last night, by the way, with Holden as we go to the title screen here, and some other friends, and it was great. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, and to all a good night.